What's up? Jer's here.
413.
HOUSEaHOLICS. So, today's topic.
That sounds real strange. Anyway, yo, we were talking about Afro House, and
yeah.
I mean, we had for years mentioned Afro House,
yeah.
And you had mentioned it before last time, and I said, yeah, let's save it for another time. Let's talk about it. So we actually break into it. This is fun. So we don't want to offend anybody out there, but we probably 9 times out of 10 will. So
yeah,
look, and we're gonna get into it, so it's gonna be funny. But I'm gonna ask Kevin first because this is gonna be good. What do you think about Afro House?
I don't know this animal. No, I don't know. So.
Come on, man, get into it, bro.
If you're gonna break down a house for me, right, and then all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden it just appeared out of nowhere. So if it was something that was always there, I don't understand why it was never heard of, and then all of a sudden it just appeared. And then like breaking it down, if I was to go take an Afro House class, I guess like getting right into it, not even breaking it down, just getting right into it. You take an Afro House class, and you want to learn like the steps, to get the basics, just to, learn how to dibble and dabble and mix and do your own thing. No teacher, I'm sure, is going to be able to tell you the steps that he's teaching you. And to even, like, let's just say he came from Nigeria, so he like really knows like the Nigerian steps, the groove, the flow, and everything. It's not to say he's gonna know Kenya or some other. There's so many countries. So when you're grouping it together and saying like Afro House, it's not the same as you trying to say like house when it came, the whole style of music, Chicago, New York, Jersey, soul. And like that whole influence, it's just like those are small communities when you in contrast have the whole states, but then you have like Africa, the whole continent, and trying to like break that down into a house. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere, and I think it was unfair that.
Real strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first time I heard Afro House was black coffee.
Yeah, black coffee.
Black coffee from South Africa.
I don't like my coffee black. Just a little bit. Just a little
so
bit. No.
from black coffee, that's where I heard the term Afro House, right? Yeah. And I heard the coin. I thought it was nice coin, and I knew it was from South Africa, and it was a movement in South Africa. The next time I heard Afro House relating to dance was right after the battle of Babson and Ijo, and this is just from my observation. Right after that, it looked like Babson, and shout out to Babson. I definitely love you, bro. So please, and I wish you spoke more English. And I know you speak French, but I wish you spoke more English. I'd love to sit down and talk to you. And definitely, I'm not bashing you or anything. But after the battle with Ijo, and it looked like he lost the battle with Ijo, and from there, it really went on a rampage online with Facebook and promoting Afro House dance, being one of the original cultures. And I got it because at first I was a little upset about it. I was like, yo, what's going on here? I don't really want this movement to happen because it doesn't sound right. And we just did another vlog previously about racism. And for me, from my logic, that sounds like the most racist thing in the world. That means I have to go learn. If I was European, that means I would have to learn how to Afro house dance from an African. If I learned how to do it from a black American, it would be totally wrong. I have to go to an African to really learn how to Afro house dance, which is just bananas in itself. So to me, that would be the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. 2, I talked to my guy Afrika from the States. That's my OG, and funny, his name is Afrika. And what he told me, we already had, which I know this to be true because I've heard it, and a lot of you young dancers don't know, we had a African explosion in house already. We had a thing called African Explosion, and this was where a lot of the tracks the house music that was playing inside the clubs were African influenced beats and stuff like that.
Just like you had in hip hop.
Yeah, so with a big African explosion already in America. Not to mention we got house steps that are called the African step. Don't forget Marjory Smart. Big shout out, well, rest in peace to Marjory Smart. But she brought in a lot of the African steps into house dance already culture. And so that's what threw me off a little bit, because house was made for everybody and is very inclusive. And what I always say is, why don't you put your own culture into house? You don't have to change the name. You can put the African steps that you do into house. I've always said that to a lot of people, that you can mix in your steps. And this even goes for Europeans. You can mix in what your culture is into house, because house allows you to do that. But you don't have to change the name of house to Afro house. You just don't have to do it. But I get it, because I wanted to be independent when I was young too. And my crew did. We wanted to be different from everybody else. So I kind of get it. A little bit wiser. So I got it. But yeah. So for the Afro house, I don't understand it. And the other thing is Afrobeat. It's confusing, because then what's Afrobeat?
Yeah. I think it should be called like African Vibes.
Or Afrobeat. Yeah, and all under the same umbrella as Afrobeat.
To group it all together, because you have so many countries, you can't even, I don't even think that's fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. Well, I had a discussion with this in Gorilla Banana with Edwin and Martha, and it was a very interesting conversation. But I'm not going to get too much into that. What I did want to say was, with this right here, when you're teaching, I also heard that a teacher said, I said, yay, I told a teacher there was no such thing as an Afro house. I told someone who was learning from it, I said, no, there's no such thing as an Afro house dance. And they went back and told the teacher said, yeah, there is, because we do our movements more lower, bent knee and more lower. And I was like, okay, so do we. I mean,
it's also your style.
Yeah, we're
depending on your style. So
if no one ever knew where I was from in Europe, they would consider me from Africa. So house music is for everybody, man. It ain't just for one person. So when you start changing it to Afro house dance, to me that sounds racist at its core itself. But anyway, that's how I feel about Afro house. And marketing, definitely with marketing for it. Get more people onto my side, and that's how it is. But big shout out to Babson. I really like his style, and I really like everything he put down for the house scene. So this is not a bash on him, and I understand the wanting to be independent from what was going on at the time. So definitely big shout out to you. And we just don't think that Afro house dance should be an animal. Peace.
Peace.